Welcome back, guys. Let's put this in the ether. You know what? What feminism, right? What did it teach us? It teaches women can do all these stuff. Women can be liberated, but in actuality, what feminism actually did was it liberated men from failed relationships. That's what it does, right? You gotta look at the bright side of feminism, right? I mean, sure, it has its dark side, but the bright side is that it liberated a lot of men from this false relationship, from this relationship that wasn't going nowhere, right? So guys, look at the bright side, right? You're not shackles anymore. You're freed, right? Feminism has caused women to show women the true self, show men the true self, right? Show men that their wives, their partner that they're with, isn't the person that they ideally expected they were supposed to be, right? That's what feminism shows. It exposed women's true natures, right? It shows men that women are really selfish, right? They're really selfish because first, right? First, they think about themselves and not about your family, not about you, not about men, right? They show that they don't know anything about being in relationships, right? And it shows that they don't care about the children's effect of that after a divorce, right? They show all these things, negative aspect about a woman, and they want a divorce from a man, stop relationships, right? Ruin relationships, right? Because they want to be free and independent. And what's the consequences of that, right? If the consequence of that, of them facing reality that they not, when they step into the real world without men, they realize that it's not a raw deal for them, right? They realize that certain things that they needed men for. There's certain things that are capable of doing, there's certain things that they're incapable of doing. There's certain things that men are supposed to do, right? Is just a fact, right? So in actuality, men, right? This thing is like a blessing in disguise, right? More men are more liberated after a relationship has failed, right? Most men out there have found it more easier to live, right? Don't get me wrong. Some men are devastated because their relationship fails, but eventually, that's why I tell men, don't give your hopes up if you're in a failed relationship. You gotta look at the bright side, right? You're freed from the shackles of a miserable relationship from a woman. You're free being enslaved by a woman. You're free being told what to do, being controlled by a woman. You're free to do all this kind of stuff, right? You're basically back on your bachelorhood, right? You remember those days when you're a single guy, you're a bachelor, right? You're more happier. And then you suddenly committed into a relationship later on, years goes by, you feel like you're miserable because you're in this relationship, this thankless relationship with a woman who's in it just for who's in a relationship just for what? Killing you inside, right? But as soon as she think that she's free and independent, brainwashed by the feminist agenda that women are capable of doing anything they want to do, right? She does suddenly divorce you, right? Then kick you to the curb, kick you to the curb. For a man, if he gets his priorities straight, it only stings for a moment. Eventually, he'll get back on his feet. Eventually, he'll find this newfound glory of independence, newfound glory of freedom from a woman, from being bound and shackles from a woman, right? So when you are in a failed relationship, right? As men, right? You gotta look at the bright side. It's gonna sting for a moment, right? But eventually you'll get back on your feet. You know how to conquer. You know how to dominate. You know how to overcome, right? That's what men are ingrained to do. Men are supposed to overcome obstacles, right? Men will always face obstacles, and they're gonna have to overcome these obstacles, right? For men, our brain are designed to overcome obstacles. We are designed this way for a reason. We are designed to take challenges, right? We are designed to solve and figure out solution for problems, right? Women are incapable of doing that, right? Women, they're the one who causes the problem, but they can't figure out how to solve these problems. The way their brain wire is erratic, right? It's like a misfired engine. That's what it is. When you turn on the car and the engine is misfiring, and for men, right? Men have the cognitive capability to figure out to troubleshoot certain solution, to test out which things are not working, to test out what thing are not working. Then okay, cross that out. Then check another thing. Change the spark plug. Change the ignition coil. Change all these stuff. We are created to problem solve. We are created to troubleshoot things. Right? Women are not ingrained to do that. Right? So when we entered in the real world, we're more capable of solving problems, right? I'm not saying all guys are capable of doing this, but the majority of men are capable of doing this, right? Majority of men are capable of doing this. This is why in a relationship, most women regret or resent their decision from breaking up their man. You can see this everywhere on YouTube, TikTok, that they're crying that they shouldn't they shouldn't make the decision of leaving their man. And then they regret it because their man are happier without them, right? There are women out there that's mad because they left their man and turned out their men are more happy after their relationships, right? I'm not saying this out of my butt. There's true. There are men who feel like that they're free, that they're happier without their significant other than they were when they were with them, right? So all this stuff is just a blessing in disguise. Men are being red pilled and exposed, or being or seeing the truth for what it is, and most men out there will learn from these situations and not gonna do it again. Right? This is why men are refusing to be in a relationship, refusing to get married. Right? Before all this internet happened, men are just repeatedly doing the same thing over and over because this message wasn't popular. This message wasn't being spread out. Right now, since the advent of the internet and social media, this word are coming out, and men are learning from other men, learning other situations, that they're not the only one that's facing this kind of situations. They're not the only one. They could overcome. They could be well aware. They and not repeat the same mistakes over and over, and they can learn to be happy with themselves. They learn to be happy by themselves. This is why men are typically more able to have loneliness better than women. Women, I don't want to say incapable, but they're more likely fail to be living alone by themselves. They can't do that. They like to socialize. Women are social creatures. They like to socialize more than men. Right? Men are solitary creatures. Right? Most men will be fine by themselves. Most men are content with being alone. Most men are happily living in solitude. They don't need that much companionship. Women need companionship more than men do. Right? Some men. I'm not gonna say men don't need companionship entirely. There are men out there who rely on the companionship, but the majority of men out there, especially these days, right? They find solitude and loneliness. Right? So when you look at these things, these agendas of feminism, right? You have to look at the bright side of things too, right? At a brief moment, your marriage collapsed. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, right? But it's only temporary. It's like a sting. That's it. You have to learn to crawl your way out of the darkness, right? Eventually, you'll crawl your way out of it. Eventually, you'll get your life together, and you'll be better off. Right? So don't be so despondent of a failed relationship. Don't be so miserable after your relationship failed. Look at it as a blessing in disguise. Look at it as a newfound glory. Look at it as your freedom being granted again. Right? You don't have to ask your wife for permission to go friends. You don't have to ask your wife for permission to buy the thing that you want to buy. Like, oh honey, I want to buy this. Can we buy this? Right? Well, she could buy handbags. She could buy shoes. She could buy all these clothes without asking you for permission. But when you want to buy like a motorcycle for just yourself, tools, right, a cabinet, then suddenly she don't want you to buy all these stuff, right? But how's that fair? Like, she could buy $1,000 worth of purse, useless bags, and you can't buy anything for yourself. That's what I'm talking about. These are the type of restriction married couples have to go through, right? That their wives are dominating them in the relationships. And men are miserable in these kind of relationships, man. Right? They might seem to hide it. They're great at hiding it, but deep down, they're really miserable. I've seen a lot of couples out there that shows men are so submissive to their wives. They're so afraid of talking back to a wife or having an opinion about something, or else they'll get they'll be forced to sleep on the sofa. Well, guess what, dude? Right? Eventually, in most marriages, men will eventually sleep in separate rooms. Most marriages, men will eventually get no sex. So you're going down the line anyway. So why not just speak up for yourself, man? That's what I'm saying. Most marriages are out there are very miserable, which isn't very popular to discuss. And a lot of guys are in this blue pill mindset, right? They they think marriage is the solution. Marriage is not the solution for your happiness. Getting a wife is not a solution for your happiness, man. Right? It's not a solution for if you're sad or anything. That's not a solution. Getting married is this what we're ingrained to do by society, by religion, by this construct of moral stance. Say after we get our degree, after we get past our career, right? The next step is to get married, to have kids. That's not a what? That's not a writing set in stones for most men out there, right? Most men the solution not getting married, most men the solution not having kids, right? It's depend up to the man, right? But I digress on that, right? But I'm just saying that right now, a lot of men are being freed from the shackles of marriage, of bondage, from these women, right? It liberate more. Feminism has liberated more men than it did liberating women, all right? Men are more happier, all right? That's what it is. That's my main point of this video. Feminism has made more men happier, and men have to look at the bright side of this, right? Feminism has shown women's true self. It shows how women really are, right? And guys have to learn from this and be more aware of how women can be. But on that note, guys, let me know what you think. Do you think feminism is a blessing in disguise? You think feminism has freed more men than than freeing women? All right, let me know if you agree or disagree. If you want to support the channel, I make videos daily, drop videos daily. You could like, share, or subscribe. On that note, I appreciate your time. Your time is very valuable. And as always, peace and blessings.